Well, the hour of 10 o'clock having arrived, we're going to kick off the annual meeting of the Wisconsin Utility Investors Association. And I want to welcome everybody to our meeting, all of our members, as well as the individuals in attendance here in person, which include Roger Cole, our chairman, and Kenyon Kies, our treasurer, also Michelle Lancaster and Megan Patel, who are part of the staff, and Kim Novak, who's helping us here at WMC with our technical work, and our assistant treasurer, Charles Clark. Pardon me. Just as an overview of the meeting, we're going to start with Roger Cole, who will run the business meeting. Then we'll follow that with two guest speakers that I'll introduce later. Throughout the meeting, we're going to show a series of short videos. The meeting will last about an hour and a half. If we're interested in any questions that you might have as we go along, feel free to send us questions using the chat feature on the Zoom program. It's basically something at the bottom of the screen. And if you have any questions, you can just send them in through that. So with that, we're going to introduce the first video, which is from Madison Gas and Electric. It features Jeff Keebler, who is chairman, president, and CEO of Madison Gas and Electric. And he's going to talk about the company's new clean energy investments and how MG&E is going to reach its goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2050. So with that, we're going to cue the video.
In 2019, we announced our goal of net zero carbon electricity for all customers by 2050. And I'm pleased to report we are making significant new investments towards our goal. MG&E was one of the first utilities to commit to such an ambitious goal. It's consistent with the latest climate science from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. We have worked with experts at the University of Wisconsin-Madison's Nelson Institute for Environmental Studies to evaluate our goal as it relates to this latest climate research. They determined our goal is aggressive in its efforts to help prevent the most severe impacts from global warming. Their input and analysis will inform our work as we move towards our goals. To achieve net zero, we're pursuing three key strategies: decarbonizing our electric generation, engaging customers further in energy efficiency, and electrifying transportation, which is an area we've been leading for more than a decade. Our customer programs to grow electric vehicle charging and the use of electric vehicles serve as models for utilities nationwide. Transportation is the leading contributor of greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S. We are extremely proud of our efforts to grow the use of cleaner, alternative transportation technologies, such as electric vehicles. In 2019 marked the 20th anniversary of our Rosier Wind Farm in Kewaunee County, Wisconsin. It came online in 1999 as the largest wind farm east of the Mississippi River at the time, and it continues to operate today. 20 years after that historic project, our leadership in advancing renewables continues. Within the last 5 years, we have announced an estimated $350 million in clean energy projects that will grow our owned renewable capacity by about 600%. Early last year, our 66 megawatt, $108 million Saratoga wind farm came online. We've also received regulatory approval to invest nearly $200 million in 150 megawatts of new solar through 2 new Wisconsin projects. And we've broken ground on a 5 megawatt solar project in our service territory to serve 2 commercial customers and customers who've subscribed to our shared solar program, which is an innovative program for customers to go solar through MG&E. We've also continued to explore additional opportunities to grow our use of cost-effective wind and solar generation. Through our renewable energy projects, we can ensure that all of our customers share in the benefits of safe, reliable, and affordable sustainable energy. We're able to pursue these major projects for our future because of our solid financial foundation. In 2019, our shareholders saw another year of dividend increases, reaching 44 years of consecutive dividend increases and more than 110 years of dividend payments. No other Wisconsin utility or utility holding company matches our history of dividend increases. We've also seen a strong cumulative total return, which is a combination of stock price appreciation and reinvested dividends. Taking a look at the last 5 years, our annualized total return of 14% has outpaced the national indices of the S&P 500, Russell 2000, and EEI investor-owned electric utilities. We continue to build a strong and secure grid to serve our customers now and in the future. In addition to sustainability, safe, reliable, affordable energy is a top priority. MG&E continues to excel in this area, placing at the top nationwide for electric service reliability, which we know is a driver for the economic health and vitality of the areas we serve. We're not only investing in new, clean generation, but also in the systems that serve our customers. Customer expectations continue to evolve. New technologies, such as electric vehicles and smart home technologies, are offering new opportunities for us to manage the grid and improve how we interact with and serve our customers into the future. It's exciting. And MG&E is upgrading the customer experience with new internal systems and tools to more efficiently, more effectively offer our customers the programs and solutions to meet their needs. As your community energy company, MG&E is uniquely engaged with and committed to our customers. Our customer focus is part of who we are and how we work to build relationships, offer value, and serve our communities. Our philosophy is one of working together with our shareholders, our employees, and our customers. By working together, we can meet our goals, to meet our obligations as a critical services provider, to operate sustainably, and to achieve continued success.
All right, with that, I'd like to turn the program over to our chairman, Roger Cole, who's going to conduct the annual business meeting of the Wisconsin Utility Investors Organization. Roger?
Thank you, James. Good morning, everyone. My name is Roger Cole, and I serve as the chairman for the Wisconsin Utility Investors Board of Directors. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of our WUI members and guests as we mark the 40th year of the Wisconsin Utility Investors. We find ourselves in the midst of a worldwide pandemic and navigating a virtual world which many in our age bracket never thought we were going to have to surface. I commend each of you for joining us in this virtual world today. Thank you for making the effort. At least we won't be standing in line or running out of coffee, but I do miss seeing all of you in front of me. I hope you will be rewarded with good health, connection to your peers, and maybe even a gift from the raffle drawing that we will hold at the end of the meeting. Our WI Board of Directors would also like to extend a hearty welcome to our special guest speakers coming to us from New Jersey. We have investment broker, Mr. James Thalaker, and from the Wisconsin area, Mr. Jeff Ripp, who is the Director of the Regulatory Strategy and Solutions for Alliant Energy. Interestingly, both of our speakers are graduates of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. We look forward to what we can learn from these fine gentlemen later in the program. We are pleased to have all of you with us today. As usual, we will begin our meeting today with a brief meeting following by our guest presentations. Between the presentations, we will show short videos from each of our investor-owned utilities. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the Wisconsin Utility Investors 2020 Annual Meeting of Members to order. James, do we have a quorum of members present for this virtual meeting?
We do.
Due to the virtual nature of this meeting, we will have sent proxy notices to all members via mail and email. And in response, we have votes tallied for 137 members, with 132 positive votes on all issues and only 2 dissenting votes. The following are the results of the proxy voting. First, the minutes of the 2019 annual meeting of members, which was included in the September mailing, were approved with no corrections noted. Secondly, the results of the board of directors are as follows. Jeff West and myself, Roger Cole, have been elected for another 2-year term. And third, Greg Bolam and Connie Lawsonek have been elected to 2-year terms as new members of the board. We wish to sincerely thank Dick Krieger for his 18 years of service on our board and Phil Mikulski for his 4 years of service. At this time, I would like to invite our treasurer, Kenyon Kies, to present our treasury report. Mr. Kies?
Wisconsin Utility Investors is in sound financial condition. Each year, we have an independent auditor reviews our organization's finances. And the 2019 auditor's report again found that WI continues to use generally accepted accounting principles, and that our financial statements are found to fairly portray the organization's financial results. WI's operational budget for 2020 anticipated an income of $189,279. And so far, we're on track to come in within our overall anticipated budget. As you can see by the pie chart that's on the screen right now, 1/3 of the budget is dedicated to advocacy work on behalf of our members, our shareholder members. More than 1/2 of the focus is on letting shareholders know that our organization, know about our organization, and providing legislative updates and energy news through our monthly newsletters, the Investor's Voice, and the Legislative Regulatory Update. Thank you.
With that, we're back to Roger to wrap up our meeting.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the 2020 Wisconsin Utility Investors Meeting of Members?
I do.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting stands adjourned. I would now ask our Executive Director, Mr. James Buchen, to continue our program for today. James?
All right. Well, thank you, Roger. I'd like to provide a little bit of a overview of the year, the overview of activities, and some of our legislative activities, as well as just other things going on with WUI. I have a little PowerPoint that we're going to show. If you bear with me for a moment. There we go. With respect to sort of the overview of the year, obviously COVID-19 has had a real impact on the organization and what we've been able to do, just as it has for every other organization of our type, every business in our state, and every one of us as individuals in our lives. Primarily, we've been unable to really hold the kind of face-to-face meetings that we generally do each year for WUI members to attend and learn about investments and the issues that face electric utilities. We have, however, continued our newsletters. We've continued our advocacy program and have worked through what has really been a short legislative session, and with the Public Service Commission on a couple of issues. As I mentioned, the legislative session was relatively short. As you know, the state operates on a 2-year cycle. In the second year of the biennium, which 2020 is the second year, the legislature operates from about January through March, and has a limited number of issues that they take up. There was certainly a limited number of energy issues that came before the legislature during that period of time. But we did engage in a lobby effort on a number of things. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the legislation dealing with wind and solar training programs. This bill would have provided up to $1 million in matching grants to cover the cost of training programs that would lead to a certification in solar and wind energy installation and maintenance. The grants would be given out to utilities and others that are engaged in training these individuals. That would be basically available to match whatever they spent to provide this training. It's designed to address what is going to be a shortage of individuals who are skilled in these areas as the companies transition more and more to renewable energy generation. The need for skilled technicians grows dramatically. So this was intended to help us in that regard. Unfortunately, the bill failed to pass by the end of the session when the legislature adjourned in March, but is likely to be brought up again next session. The second legislation we were engaged on involves riparian rights. This bill would have had an impact on the right of individuals that own the beds to flowages and other types of impounded water to control what goes on around and in those flowages. What that means is basically for a utility that owns a flowage as a result of having a hydroelectric dam, their ability to manage that situation, manage what was going on in that flowage would have been limited by this bill. Currently, the way the law stands is the beds of flowages are owned and controlled by the utility that created them. This bill would have shifted some of that control to the waterfront property owners. It would have impaired the ability of the utility to manage the dams and the flowages and what's going on there. And it conflicted with the requirements of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission that require utilities to have control over what goes on flowages. There's public safety issues at stake here with respect to that, because you really don't want materials and debris to be floating around in your flowage and then get caught in your dam and cause failure of one sort or another, potentially catastrophic. So this would have actually had an impact on what are more than 80 hydroelectric dams that we have here in Wisconsin that are run by our utilities. We provided expert testimony at the public hearings on this issue, and we facilitated a compromise that would have exempted FERC licensed facilities, those licensed by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. That would have pretty much taken off the table all of the flowages that are run by utilities. The bill did pass the assembly, but unfortunately died before the session expired, which essentially is a good thing from our perspective. Even though we had a compromise, now we don't have to worry about it, at least for now. Probably will come back again next session, however. The third legislative issue was a PSC reform bill. This is something that's done every biennium. They basically package up lots of minor changes that are sought by the utilities and the Public Service Commission and legislators. Where there's agreement on all these issues, they roll them into one bill and pass them en masse. This bill would have eliminated various unnecessary filings with the PSC, updated obsolete thresholds that the companies have to comply with, and adjusted procedures for improving the regulatory process, adjusted procedures to improve the regulatory process. And it would have increased funding for the Citizens Utility Board. The objective there is to make sure that there's a robust record on rate cases so that if they're challenged in court, there is a clear indication that the commission considered all sides in the issue. Unfortunately, this bill also died when the session expired kind of abruptly this year before a number of issues could be taken up. Again, likely to come back next session. At the Public Service Commission, we were involved in a number of issues as well. The first was the settlement agreement reached between WEC, the Wisconsin Energy Corporation, and various intervener groups on their rate case. This agreement really is a result of using a new process in rate cases. It used to be both sides would present their issues to the commission, and the commission would make a decision or modify the request in some fashion. In this system, the interested parties get together And to the extent that they can reach an agreement, that goes before the commission, and then the commission can approve it or not. This particular agreement was noteworthy in that it addressed the stranded assets issue, that is prematurely retired coal assets. What do you do with these assets? And this was addressed in this case through a partial securitization of those assets. WUI testified in support of this agreement before the commission, and it was approved in November of 2019. Second issue that come up before the commission that we were involved in had to do with electric vehicle program sponsored by Northern States Power. Basically, they were proposing to set up a residential and commercial electric vehicle charging program for residential individuals, for residential homes, where an individual wanted to charge their electric vehicle. They would have an option to utilize time of day rates, lower rates at night if they charge their vehicle overnight. They would have had the option to prepay for the equipment that would be necessary, or have it bundled into the charge, a regular monthly utility bill to pay for the equipment. The customer would also have had the option of owning the equipment themselves or having the company own the equipment. And in this way, it was designed or set up so that there would be no cross-subsidization with other customers. The full cost of the electric vehicle charging system would have been borne by the customers for that particular service. The commercial program similarly would have required the installation of appropriate equipment. It had to have been installed by NSP or by the customer. And then individual rates for each customer would have been established based on the incremental increase in demand attributable to the electric vehicles. The PSC approved this proposal as a pilot program with some slight modifications. Lastly, there were issues related to COVID-19 that came before the commission. The governor in spring issued emergency order number 11, which suspended service rule requirements that are in current administrative rules. And so, which allowed the PSC to then order utilities to not disconnect service or refuse service to any customer. The order was extended now in place until October. Actually, it's being revisited today and probably will be extended again. And in a separate order, they allowed utilities to defer expenses associated with the first order. In other words, to the extent that they can't disconnect people and they're not paying their bill, there's expenses associated with that. They're going to be able to defer those expenses and eventually recover them in the form of rates after the crisis is over, higher rates after the crisis is over. The deferral does not include declining sales that might have resulted from COVID-19, which is something that we're monitoring fairly closely. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on the election. The outcomes of the elections do matter. Right now, the Republicans control both houses of the legislature. Which party controls will have an impact. Whether Biden or Trump are elected president will have an impact. Obviously, the Green New Deal would be a significant issue for utilities and could be quite challenging. If Biden's elected, I think we'll see quite a bit of that. The outcome of the elections will have an impact on which direction policy goes. And I think that to the extent that Democrats are in charge, there'll be a lot more activity on the part of your advocacy program. In addition, the Public Service Commission is now controlled by appointees of Governor Evers with the appointment of Tyler Huebner. So we're likely to see more activity from the Public Service Commission in the nature of things that might not be as favorable to utilities. So we'll be paying close attention to all of that. Obviously, we'll continue to engage in our advocacy program, part of which is the WUI Day at the Capitol program, which is hopefully going to be held in May of 2021. So with that, I'd like to introduce our next video. This one is from Excel. In 2018, they announced a vision to serve customers with 100% carbon-free electricity by 2050 and an interim milestone of 80% carbon-free by 2030. And this video tracks some of the progress that the company has made in achieving those goals. And with that, the video.